40 years because somebody brought a bad report. After those 40 years, Caleb, who now became 85, he was unchanged in his commitment to the Lord, and even after wandering around the wilderness for those years, he was still ready to receive the promise that God made to him 45 years earlier. He wanted a mountain. It had been his aim and goal for years, but it was no ordinary mountain. He kept his enthusiasm, and nothing deterred him. Nothing had diminished his dream. The title of my message today is Give Me This Mountain. Give me this mountain. I want you to turn in your Bibles to Joshua 14 and Mark chapter 15 as well. And when you have found that, make sure you mark it, because I'm going to ask you to also look for Numbers 13 and 14, those two chapters as well. I need a preacher's voice to read for me today. Do I have a preacher's voice that can read for me and the congregation? If you don't volunteer, then you'll get voluntold. So I would like to start at Joshua 14. And I need someone to read for me verse 1 through 5. And I need a preacher's voice. I need a Caleb Joshua type of voice. Thank you, Elder.
Okay, Joshua 14.
Joshua 14. You're reading 1 through 5.
Okay.
Now listen carefully, folks. Go ahead.
And these are the countries which the children of Israel inherited in the land of Canaan, which Eleazar the priest and Joshua the son of Nun, and the heads of the fathers of the tribes of the children of Israel, distributed for inheritance to them. By lot was their inheritance, as by Lord commanded by the hand of Moses, for the 9 tribes and for the half tribe. For Moses had given the inheritance of 2 tribes and of half a tribe on the other side of Jordan. But unto the Levites he gave none inheritance among them. For the children of Joseph were 2 tribes, Manasseh and Ephraim. Therefore they gave no part unto the Levites in the land, save the cities to dwell in, and their suburbs for their cattle and for their substance. And the Lord commanded Moses, so to the children of Israel did, and they divided the land.
They were dividing the land. How did they come by this land?
Conquest.
They conquered it, right? They took it. But was it promised to them a long time ago? Well, let me give you a little context and background to what's happening here. It sounded like the reading of a will and the division of land and assigning what parts of land go to what part of the family. Have you ever been involved in any of those things? I have. And I'm going to tell you a little story. My grandfather died in 2012. And to this day, they are still talking about the land. His brothers and sisters, they never talked to each other for a really long time because of how the land was divided. And a couple of weeks ago, my husband and I were in Jamaica, and I went to visit my aunts on the western side of the country. And guess what they were still talking about? The land and how it was divided. This is the thing that will tear families apart, how we distribute land. But what was interesting about what you just read is that this was the way the Lord was distributing it. It wasn't a will, it wasn't somebody making, nobody had objections, they just had to get what they wanted, right? What the Lord had provided for them. Well, let me give you some context and background as to what is really happening here. After years of war and conquest, Canaan is finally under control of the Israelites. Finally. Now with the fighting at an end, the work of dividing up the land between the tribes had to be done. And according to verses 1 and 2 that you just read, the inheritance was assigned by casting lots. It was left entirely in the hand of God. There could be no objections. But remember that once the land was divided, it would be the responsibility of each tribe to go conquer it. They had to go conquer the land they inherited. You following me? The Bible goes on to say that when it was time for Caleb to get what he needed, he spoke up. Caleb spoke up in verse 6 through about 13. Can I get another person who will read for me? Because this is really the crux of the matter. And it needs to be a Joshua Caleb type of voice.
Then the children of Judah came unto Joshua in Gilgal, and Caleb the son of Jephunneh the Kenizzite said unto him, Thou knowest the thing that the Lord said unto Moses the man of God concerning me and thee, Kadesh Barnea. 40 years old was I when Moses the servant of the Lord sent me from Kadesh Barnea to espy out the land. I brought him word again as it was in my heart. Nonetheless, my brethren, thou went up with me, making the heart of the people know. And I wholly followed the Lord my God. And Moses swore on that day, saying, Surely the Lord whereon thy feet, surely the land whereon thy feet have trodden shall be thine inheritance, and thy children forever, because thou hast wholly followed the Lord my God. And now, behold, the Lord has kept me alive, as he said. These 40 and 5 years, even since the Lord spake this word unto Moses, for the children of Israel wandered in the wilderness. And now, lo, I am this day 40 and 5 years old.
Can you read that again? He was how old?
40 and 5 years.
Can anybody tell me what's 4 score and 5?
85.
Do we have any 85-year-olds in here? Okay, he was 85 because this is now 45 years later. And what does he say?
As yet I am as strong this day as I was in the day that Moses sent me.
Stop a moment there. He's as strong as he was when Moses sent him to spy out the land 40 years earlier. What was he eating? But it's not done there. Just listen to this. Keep going.
As my strength was then, even so is my strength now. For war, both to go out and to come in. Now therefore, give me this mountain, whereof the Lord spake in that day. For thou heardest in that day how the Anakims were there, and that the cities were great and fenced. If so be the Lord will be with me, then I shall be able to drive them out.
All right, stop for a minute. An 85-year-old declares, give me the mountain. I don't care if they're giants over there. Give me that part of the mountain. I'll go clear them out. Because I'm as strong as I was when I was 40 years old. 45 years later, he's saying that. Now, isn't that a confident man? Go ahead.
And Joshua blessed him and gave unto Caleb the son of Jephunneh him for an inheritance.
So he got his inheritance. And his inheritance was his mountain. Give me this mountain. It was no ordinary mountain. Why did God keep his promise to Caleb? The answer we're going to look at today. And I want to look at 3 things. The man Caleb, who was he? What kind of man was he? What motivated him? The mountain. What is this mountain that he was going to go after? When others might have wanted something easier to deal with, the valleys, he wanted the hilly parts of the country, the well-fortified stronghold that had giants in it. What does that tell us about the man? And then we're also going to look at what message we can draw from that. What lessons does God want us to take from the life of Caleb? Now let's talk about the man. Most of what we're going to learn about Caleb, however, is in Numbers 13 and 14. We don't read through all of it today. Make sure you make a note of that and go home, read those 2 chapters later, okay? Caleb was recognized as a respected leader among the Israelites. Was he? Absolutely he was. Numbers 13, red book, voluntold. I need you to read verse 1 through 3 of Numbers 13.
The Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Send thou men, that they may search the land of Canaan, which I gave unto the children of Israel. Of every tribe of their fathers shall he send a man, every man a ruler among them. And Moses, by the commandment of the Lord, sent them from the wilderness of Perah, all those men who were heads of the children of Israel.
All right, your version says heads. My New International Version says they were leaders in Israel. They picked 12 to go spy out the promised land, right? And Joshua and Caleb was among them. Now go down to verse 17 to 20 of the same chapter. When Moses sent them to explore Canaan, he said, Go up through Negev and unto the hilly country, see what the land is like, and whether the people live there are strong or weak, few or many. What kind of land do they live in? Is it good? Is it bad? What kind of town is it? Are they walled? Are they fortified? Do they have a fence? Don't they have a fence? How is the soil? Is it fertile? Is it poor? Are there trees or not? Bring back some fruit from the land. Now that was quite a task. Each spy was selected because they were a leader. Caleb was among them, so we know he was a leader. They trusted them with their lives and their future. They had an important job. Caleb was also courageous because, can I tell you, I don't know if I would have wanted to go to that land with giants. And when they say giants, they're talking about big, strong people that they had to go up against. But Caleb accepted this mission. He was a man of courage, and we know this because the assignment was a dangerous assignment. He was going into enemy territory. Those of you who have fought in our battles know exactly what I'm talking about. They were not going to be dodging bullets, but surely if they were found out, they would have been killed. So just think about it. They were going in as secret operatives, and they were there for how long? Does anybody know how long they were there? Move on down to verse 25 of Numbers 13. They were there for 40 days, scouting out the land, trying to make sure they can bring back a good report to Moses and the children who were waiting for them. It takes a lot of nerve and faith to do what they did, to venture into the unknown and to go into enemy territory. The other thing I thought I learned is that Caleb was not afraid to challenge others or disagree with others. Go on down to same chapter, Numbers 13, verse 26, and read with me. They came back to Moses and Aaron and the whole Israelite community of Kadesh in the desert of Paran. There they reported to them that the whole assembly and showed them the fruit from the land. They gave Moses this account. We went into the land to which you sent us, and it does flow with milk and honey. Here is evidence of that. Here are the grapes. But the people who live there, they are powerful, and the cities are fortified, and the cities are large. We even saw descendants of Anak, and Anak were the giant people. The Amalekites live in Negev. The Amorites live in the hill country, and the Canaanites live near the sea along the Jordan. But then Caleb had to speak up in verse 30. Caleb spoke up and he said, "Silence! We should go up and possess the land because we can certainly take it." Why was he the only one of the 12 having a positive attitude? The others started to cower because they felt there's no way we'd be able to take this land. The giants are many. They have lots of fortitude, right? The city is well secure. Oh, we will never be able to do it. Does that sound like some people you know? Be careful of naysayers. Not all leaders have courage. But Caleb did. He dared to speak up when everybody else around him, the majority, were saying something else. He dared to speak up and said, "Hold on now, the Lord promised to us, we can go take this because the Lord made that promise." But he was a lone voice. So we know he wasn't afraid of standing up. 12 spies went, only 2 brought back good report, Caleb and Joshua. They encouraged the people to believe in God and his promise to bring them victory. We know also that Caleb later faced those same giants on his own at 85. Is that not a man of courage? He had to be. Did you know that they almost stoned Caleb and Joshua for giving them a good report? Caleb did not change his message. Don't believe me? Read on down to Numbers 14, verse 6 through 10. Joshua son of Nun and Caleb son of Jephunneh, who were among those who had explored the land, tore their clothes and said to the entire Israelite assembly, "The land we passed through and explored is exceedingly good. If the Lord is pleased with us, he will lead us into that land, a land flowing with milk and honey, and he will give it to us. Only do not rebel against the Lord. Do not be afraid of the people of the land, because we will devour them. Their protection is gone, but the Lord is with us. Don't be afraid of them." Can't you just see Caleb giving his speech, being the only one saying that? But then verse 10 says what? But the whole assembly talked about stoning them. Then the glory of the Lord appeared at the tent of the meeting to the Israelites. The whole community was about to stone Joshua and Caleb. Friends, the Lord had to intervene. That's what it means about the Lord appeared. He had to intervene. They were about to kill the 2 spies, the only 2 spies who were encouraging them. Will we be persecuted for standing with God? And that same persecution may come from within our community of faith, within the Israel camp. They will be prepared to stone you for standing for God. Are you a Caleb? Caleb was dedicated to the cause. He spied out the land for 40 days. 12 spies hiding among enemy for 40 days. I I imagine, like I said, there were undercover agents secretly gathering information. They had to infiltrate the law enforcement. I think at some point they probably were posing as Canaanites. They had to be smart. They had to be vigilant. Have you ever found yourself in a place you shouldn't be? Caleb was a man of faith, and he had complete trust in God. He came with a positive report. The others came with their naysaying. But what did the spies really say? Numbers 13. Go down to verse 31 through 33. Can someone read that for me? Numbers 13.
As for your children that you said would be taken as plunder, I will bring them in to enjoy the land you have rejected. But as for you, your body will fall into this wilderness. Your children will be shepherds here for 40 years, suffering for your unfaithfulness, until the last of your body lies in the wilderness.
Are you reading 31 to 33 of 13, Numbers 13?
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I was in Numbers 14.
Go again.
Numbers 13, 31 through
33.
But the men who had gone up with him said, we can't attack those people. They are stronger than we are. And they spread among the Israelites a bad report about the land that they had explored. They said, the land we explored devours those living in it. All the people we saw there are of great size. We saw the Nephilim there, the descendants of Anak, come from the Nephilim. We seemed like grasshoppers in your own eyes, and we looked the same to them.
Wow, we appear to be grasshoppers to them. Wow. Now let's unpack this. Not one of the spies disagreed that there was value in the land of Canaan. It was everything that had been promised. It truly was the land flowing with milk and honey, right? They didn't differ on their description of the people. Yeah, the people were big people, giants, intimidating. The city was large, all of that. Lots of people living there. The point, however, is that 10 of the spies saw only danger, while Caleb and Joshua saw what? The opportunity. Perspective. The majority measured themselves against the giants. And this is where I should hear an amen. Caleb and Joshua measured the giants against God. In the midst of pessimism, Caleb dared to disagree with the majority. With boldness and confidence, he kept reminding the people, let us go up and take possession. We're able to do it. Can you even name any of the other 10 spies? We seldom remember the names of people who blend in with the majority. Most of our heroes are people who stood up against popular philosophies of their day, right? Caleb, however, had faith, he was courageous, he knew that God was greater than the biggest giant in Canaan. That was the man. So what was this mountain that he wanted? He made the request, give me this mountain. Not only do I want the mountain, I'm going to go over there and take it from those giants. At 85, I dare say he's saying that. He says, I feel as strong as I was when I was 40 years old. I'll go and take it. Can we get some Calebs around today? The hilly country of Hebron belonged to the sons of Anak. They were giants. And I did look up what modern day Hebron is today. It is down there in the West Bank, south of Jerusalem. And it is indeed a hilly part of that countryside. You had, the rolling hills. But that's what Caleb wanted. These men were of great size. They were renowned warriors. Yet Caleb said, Joshua, give me this mountain. I'll go take it. I'm only 85 years old, but Moses promised me, and by golly, I'm gonna take it.
Yeah.
To Caleb, it was not just a promise, it was a land of plenty, and it was a land of prosperity. He was confident, though, that God would keep his promise, even though he waited 40 years for God to give him that promise. How long have you been waiting for God to answer your prayer? Are you prepared to wait 40 years? Or longer? Caleb was. That was the kind of man he was. He had a right to be tired and weary, to be satisfied with just sitting back and propping up his feet. After all, he was 85, retired. He had done his battles. But he wasn't ready to sit back and take it easy. He was not ready to retire. He was still fighting.
Amen.
He still wanted to take that mountain. Now, I want to talk about some of the obstacles he had to take in the mountain. First, the obstacle of friends. You remember way back in Caleb's experience, he had to stand alone? Not only outvoted by the peers, but ridiculed by them and almost stoned. Surprisingly, friends often stand in the way of our own progress. Did you know that?